Hello chat, how's it going? Welcome to another video. I'm very excited today because, as I shrink down, new ship concept from Drake. I've seen the thumbnail for the video, so I've got a little preview. I'm very excited. But I thought I'd do a little reaction video to this week's ISC. So kick back, relax, grab a drink, grab a snack. I will be pausing. If I see one comment telling me to stop pausing, you can watch the video on your own, bro. People are here to see my reaction. So if you're not, totally fine. Just let me pause if I feel the need to pause. I'll try and be good, but I feel Salty Mike's life right now. Just let me pause in peace. Anyway, shrink back down. So yeah, here we go. Let's watch it. Let's kick back, hit the like button. Let's go.
It's part 2 of our Invictus Launch Week coverage as we look beyond the event to the new offering being unveiled at this year's Drake Defense.
I'm pausing it just to meme, but also I always love reading these little down here jackpot for comedy.
The far superior brand excluded from the usual Invictus festivities because it's too damn cool. I said it, and I'm tired of pretending it's not true. Drake for life.
These sentiments were recorded in April before that rap beef stuff, and Disco would like it known that K. is king. Hashtag Westside. Also, that David is the best. Woohoo! Now we resume the program.
Let's force John Crew to talk about it now.
So in the Star Citizen universe, we have a lot of cargo ships, but they're sort of concentrated around the lower end of cargo hauling, sort of the...
Okay, CRG, I see what you're doing. You remember all those ships you bought? Well, they're kind of not it, bro. Ollie would like to point out that actually he wasn't really listening to John Crew. Or he was listening, he just didn't understand the point John Crew was making, which was there's a lot of ships at either end of the spectrum. And I kind of jumped the gun a little bit. It's a bit awkward now, isn't it? Anyway, I'm not going to edit it out. It's funny. I got excited and I didn't listen to John Crew. I'm sorry. This is a good start to my React career. I love CIG, but their marketing is mwah, chef kiss. They know, like, it's fine. My wallet is already on the desk. We all know I'm going to buy it as soon as it goes live. But I love this immediate... Remember all those other ships? Nah.
Low hundreds, SU and below, and the very high end where there's multi-thousands. There's a mix of cargo ships which have their cargo on the inside, ones on the outside like the whole series. And we really want to...
I have to say, I'm just going to pause it again. I don't even know if John Crew was saying that. I just immediately assume marketing mode. Anyway... I do actually think it's really interesting for them to like work on that small cargo gameplay, because as cool as it is to haul like an entire solar system's worth of cargo in one run, I do think there's value in hauling like small value items, like missions, for example. Imagine you're doing some base building or crafting, and you want a player to go and pick you something up that you need specifically for your base building. That sort of thing makes a lot of sense if it's extremely high value. It makes sense to put it in like a small cargo ship. But that's later down the line. But anyway.
To bring something different where it sort of sits right in the middle. It's a nice progression step and facilitates both internal and external loading of cargo, which is where the Drake Ironclad comes in.
Drake Ironclad. That's a great name. The Ironclad is rad. I hope we get to see it in some form. Oh, here we go.
So the Drake Ironclad is the kind of next step up for Drake cargo ships. It kind of builds on what the Caterpillar brings.
Oh, I love Drake for their engines, man. So everybody wants the Kraken, right? I think this... this looks so good.
In a much larger form.
I'm going to rewind. Sorry.
It kind of builds on...
Let me just rewind a little bit. I interrupted Ben. Sorry, Ben.
So the Drake Ironclad is the kind of next step up for Drake cargo ships. It kind of builds on what the Caterpillar brings, but in a much larger form.
The Drake Ironclad is a...
So you have Caterpillar and then Fatterpillar. I don't know if they're going to like that name, but that might catch on.
A 6-person multi-crew armoured freighter. A large proportion of the ship is dedicated to the cargo bay at the front of it, which has both a front ramp for loading and unloading cargo and small vehicles on the ground, as well as a retractable roof for doing that in space with EVA as well.
Little tight entrance.
There's nothing I like better than a retractable roof on these cargo ships. Oh. So it's basically the Liberator equivalent from Drake. It's not as big as I thought it initially was. Like, looking at these people here, it's big, don't get me wrong, but it's not like, you know, colossals. It's not on the colossal range.
This is the cargo ship.
It's freaking big, though.
It doesn't necessarily lend itself to...
Oh my word, that looks amazing. They're doing like animations and stuff with concept stuff. This is huge.
When you're out in deep space and you're trying to quickly move some cargo from one person's ship into your ship, really you want as much kind of access to be able to do that as you possibly can.
Oh my word. I'll rewind it so I'm not interrupting the flow. That is... They've done an amazing job at like bringing Drake into the bigger cargo space. Like, it's asymmetrical and it's got similar vibes to Cat. You can definitely see the Caterpillar vibe, but like this bit down here, zoom in. This down here is cool. Like, imagine being able to stand and look out as you're going over stuff. This looks so awesome, man. I hope they stick with this. When they build it, I hope it comes out like this. Because obviously, concept, it's subject to change, right? But this is cool.
And so by having this kind of ship,
sorry,
EVA
Ben.
as well.
Little tight entrances to cargo ships doesn't necessarily lend itself to when you're out in deep space and you're trying to quickly move some cargo from one person's ship into your ship. Really, you want as much kind of access to be able to do that as you possibly can. So by having this kind of much larger opening on top of the ship, it allows us to kind of bring cargo in much easier.
So its role being a sort of arm.
Oh my word, this is cool. It's literally an empty box for you to stuff in. I love this. Obviously, there's a lot more to it than that, and that's really mean to say, but there's so much open space in this ship. Almost, like, I'd say like 80% of the ship is just open space, which is great for gameplay, because you can just do whatever you want with it. Obviously, it's meant for cargo, right? But so you've got like turrets here. Yeah, it looks pretty detailed for a concept. You've got the bridge. Oh, wow. I love the balcony walkways. Very, 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 very Caterpillar. Oh my word, I want this so much. Damn it!
Armoured freighter comes from two distinct ways. One, the cargo itself is more protected. It's within the cargo bay that has the armoured roof section that covers it. So unlike, say, a Hull C where the cargo's on the outside, you can load it from the outside but then protect.
Okay, sorry, just to interrupt John. So this is like a much better look, and it's a lot easier to like gain perspective because I've seen hangars before. So it's big, right? But it's not humongous, and I think this is a really nice, maybe similar. I haven't looked at the specific details, but it looks a similar size lengthwise to like a Polaris, and I think that's a good size.
It with the Ironclad.
It's the right size.
Is also more heavily armoured than the Caterpillar, so it kind of gives a little bit more security to your kind of precious cargo.
The exterior is very classic Drake brutish styling, a whole lot of engines and a lot of framework and quite thin structural elements support the rest of the ship. Very bare bones styling. It doesn't have lots of nice padding. It's all there and exposed, and it's really just sort of rugged and to the point.
I really prefer this end of Drake where It's less duct tape and more not industrial, but it's more like just hard edged. You know, it's not refined at all. I think that's a good way to describe it. Like, I think they've come away a little bit from like the duct tape mentality, and it's like leaning a bit more towards like it does exactly what you need, but absolutely nothing else. And I might be a Drake guy.
So the Ironclad is really 3 distinct areas. You have all the accommodation in the rear sort of third of the ship. The front 2/3 is really just this cargo bay with the front entrance and the retractable roof.
Love it.
And then you have the command module, which has seats for the crew plus a few little jump seats for everyone else. Command module is there to steer the ship when it's attached, and the command module serves as the escape pod as well. The only time you really want to detach it is in an emergency. It's not designed to be your sort of primary ship flying around.
It kind of gives you a little bit of a get out of jail free card if you're transporting.
Oh my word, that is a phenomenal bit of concept art. Holy mackerel sandwiches. That is gorgeous. Whoever did that. That is honestly great. I love this kind of like it's not gameplay, and it's very obviously not trying to be gameplay, but it's kind of like slightly animated concept art. I think it's a really good decision to like show a bit of animation there. Very slight, very subtle, but I think it really brings it to life a little bit. So whoever came up with that decision, I like that. This whole concept of removing the bridge, essentially, is the same on the Caterpillar. And I think that's great. I think that's awesome. Very, very Drake. Like, well, our cargo's compromised, but we can still survive. You know, I love that.
Importing stuff that is quite valuable, quite sought after in maybe some of our less desirable systems. What it allows you to do is kind of have a little bit of security. So if you're getting attacked or you're getting yourself into trouble, if you want to save yourself, you can kind of jettison your cargo and try and get out of dodge and kind of get out to safety. And I think that's like a really important thing as we get closer to Death of a Spaceman.
With some of the recent tech that's come online, this brought us one step closer to implementing command modules properly. So not only will you see this detachable command module feature on the Ironclad, but as well it will happen on the Caterpillar.
Interior-wise, you've kind of got 2 entrances.
Okay, so yeah, I did say it's the same on the Caterpillar. He didn't say when, but he's not allowed to say when, probably. Or I would imagine he doesn't want to say yen. Yen? He doesn't want to say yet. But that is cool. When that comes online, that would be sweet. That's pretty neat. Oh man, I really didn't want to get sucked into this. And I haven't watched the whole video, and I'm already considering how I'm going to pay for it.
Onto the ship. You can either enter via the command module, and that takes you straight into a kind of corridor section. It's kind of like...
What is this? Concept mesh. Okay, so they've done a rough mesh. I was going to say, this look like Greybox sort of this looks really far along, but okay, it's a concept mesh. Okay, so there's nothing... okay.
Almost like a mezzanine. You can either go up to the habitation area, which is top floor.
This looks so detailed.
The ship gives you like super nice views out both the kind of cargo out the front and the rear of the ship, or you can kind of come down the ship into the main habitation area.
This looks so Drake. It looks exactly like the Caterpillar. Build this.
Alternatively, you can enter through the dock and collar airlock, which is on the opposite side of the ship.
Habs.
At the rear of the interior of the ship, we've kind of got the heart of the engines. It's the big kind of engineering area where we've got all of the kind of main functional components needed for moving such a large ship. And then if you kind of come slightly further forward, got we call it the kind of like the command deck. It's not a bridge, you can't fly the ship from it, but it's where you operate the tractor beams. It's where it kind of gives you good views out over the front and into space.
Oh, Ben, stop it, bro. This is
It's where
filthy.
it kind of gives you good views out over the front and into...
Okay, I just had a massive... I know Ben's a car fan. Imagine turning up to like an esports event and all your racing car drivers are sat in this thing and they all drive out of it and then they go to the next place. Oh, dude. Or a team has all their cars in this. Oh my word. Do I seem excited, chat?
Space. You've got the tractor beam turrets, but also, visually you can kind of stand in this area or sit in this area and look out over the front and over the bow of the ship and kind of really see what you're trying to pull in or what you're trying to capture into your cargo hold.
That's so cool.
As we come
that's my favorite feature.
We've got a little kind of covered area at the rear of the cargo hold, and that is where you can store a couple of small ground vehicles or some of your equipment.
I don't think, sorry to cut off Ben, but I don't think the mule gets enough love. And I feel like the mule is unfairly abused. Like, why does no one love the mule? I love the mule. The mule rocks.
For moving vehicles and...
No, it's not the rock.
Cargo around. And then you're into the main cargo hold of the ship. And this takes up the majority of the interior space, is this large cargo hold. One of the things that we were kind of really keen to do was give lots of different views and different angles down into this cargo hold. Again, as we're exploring slightly less lawful systems, we wanted to give the players as much opportunities as we can to kind of be safe aboard their own ship. So either side of the cargo hold, we've got these gantries that run completely front to rear on the ship, and they give great view down into your cargo bay. They also give that opportunity of, if there's someone tries to board you via the cargo bay, it gives you some nice cover opportunities. And we've also got a few little windows that kind of look down into it as well. As you move to the kind of like...
Honestly, this looks so cool. This is the perfect org vehicle. Like, it is. Like, you can fit ships in it. You can obviously run cargo, but I'm thinking like more of a vehicle transporter or, just a hub. Doesn't have a medical bay. If it had a medical bay, I mean, you could just put a nurser in it. Never mind, game over.
Like the very front, the very nose of the ship, those gantries lead into a kind of secure cargo area. It's somewhere that's a little bit more difficult to get to when you kind of enter the ship. The big thing we were referencing when we were looking at it was this idea of police evidence rooms. And so these kind of individual cages where you could put your most secure cargo, whatever it might be, in this area, and it would make it quite difficult to try and breach in or out of that area. So it gives us just somewhere a little bit more secure for kind of smaller cargo items. Finally, at the very front, we've got access to one of the main turrets and the tractor beam turret.
The biggest attraction for me with it is just the versatility of the cargo space. From a good citizen law standpoint, it is a cargo ship, but also that retractable roof and the tractor beams on board it give it some less legal opportunities for perhaps taking other people's cargo ships in space and on the ground. At the time of...
Imagine disabling a hull A with very valuable cargo on it and then literally closing the door above it. I don't know if it fits. CIG need to check that, but imagine if it does. You basically literally Star Wars style, roof is closed. Shit, bro. I'm screwed. Oh. Mm-hmm.
Of recording, we're also exploring a more military-themed variant of the Ironclad. Doesn't have the name yet, so we'll just call it the Drake.
Ironclad Assault.
Compared to the base ship, this has been developed to support ground assault operations.
What?
It has additional turrets covering the upper and lower surfaces to provide more fire support. And the front section of the cargo area has been redesigned to enable our largest vehicles in-game to be deployed from it, such as the tank. In addition, the cargo bay...
You what? Wow.
Has been reduced in size to facilitate a onboard repair facility. So for those of you who want to have a journey...
Okay. I'm actually done. They've actually created the perfect vehicle for me. Damn it. John, Crew, and Ben.
Vehicles in game to be deployed from it, such as the tank. In addition, the cargo bay has been reduced in size to facilitate a onboard repair facility. So for those of you who want to have a journey in the cargo profession, traditionally you would start out in something, say like a hull A. The next step up from there really is sort of into Drake Caterpillar territory. So you're doing roughly a 8 to 10 times jump in cargo capacity. From there, the Ironclad sits nicely between those smaller ships and the much larger bulk carriers such as the Hull C, and then ultimately you get to things like the Hull D, E, and Kraken at the end of the
He just dropped the Kraken. I think the Kraken is cooler still. I don't think I'm going to sit here and say the Ironclad is as cool as the Kraken, because the Kraken has landing pads and you can't beat a good old-fashioned landing pad. But this is way more practical, bro. Oh, I really hope they make this soon. Okay, in the comment section, question of the day: when is this getting released?
cargo career.
You said Kraken.
Jared knows!
Was that a hint at anything?
It's not a hint at anything, but making the Ironclad makes the Kraken easier.
So building out the Ironclad
Right, okay, so okay, let me just break that down. So it's so funny I said that, and they left in the bit where Jared's like, you said Kraken! What have you done? If you say Kraken 3 times, like the Star Citizen community revolt. But it's interesting. So they basically have said here, this is coming before the Kraken, which makes a lot of sense, and I think everyone fully expects. You work on the smaller ships, bigger ships are a bit easier.
Like the Hull D, E, and Kraken at the end of the cargo career.
You said Kraken.
Yes.
Was that a hint at anything?
It's not a hint at anything, but making the Ironclad makes the Kraken easier.
So building out the Ironclad does, of course, kind of help us with building out the Kraken. I think increasing that visual library of assets that we can pull from and use in a Drake manufacturer at the right scale is super valuable for when we move on to the large ships.
Yeah, so 100% this is coming before the Kraken. Release the Kraken! We all want the Kraken, let's be real, but also this is...
Of course, in non-Drake related news, players in this year's event probably noticed the long-awaited RSI Polaris touring around.
Okay, so there's 2 parts to this video. I love how I've been recording for over 20 minutes. Hello if you're still here. And we haven't even got halfway through. Well, we've got halfway through now. So now we're going to look at the Polaris. This is what it says. Grey box interior review. So I did a video where I toured the outside of the Polaris for the first time. I was blown away by that ship. It looks so cool. And now we're going to look at the interior. I've not pre-watched this video, as you can probably already tell. Blow my mind.
The Stanton system. Well, it's not quite flight ready yet, but we thought we'd ask the guys for a status update all the same and see if we can't get a closer look at the progress being made while we do it.
Just to say, they have confirmed it's coming out later this year, the Polaris, so thumbs up for that.
We really wanted to have some form of the exterior of the Polaris at Invictus launch week.
We wanted to mix up the capital ships on display this year.
Being a big kind of military show, it made perfect sense to be able to kind of show it off in its best light. We've pushed quite hard to get the exterior to a point where we're happy to show it publicly.
This meant we've prioritized.
Whoever worked, they did a great job. It looks phenomenal. I really like the design. It looks like a really good extension of RSI in their lineup, and I can't wait. I'm so happy I've got one. I'm so excited to fly it with all of you.
Is doing the exterior over the interior. So the exterior you see is pretty much final art. All it is missing is really the damage setup, as I'm sure people have tried to do. It is currently invulnerable, or hopefully invulnerable in game.
Visually, I think not.
That sounds like a challenge.
Only have we been trying to get it out so we can show it, but we've also tried to kind of really push the quality of the...
Also, CIG, as a content creator, I know no one's going to listen to this and nobody cares, but as a content creator, I tried so hard to get a good view of this ship to show you guys, And what do? They spend loads of time panning nicely around the top of the ship, which I desperately tried to do in ISC. Just, please, I'll pay hundreds of pounds, Chris, to have custom camera software in your game just so I can make cool videos. I know it's not going to happen, but a man can dream.
Exteriors of some of our kind of like large capital ships, and what that has meant,
Me and at least Morphologist would buy that instantly.
is that we needed to focus a few more artists than what we'd normally put on the exterior of a ship, just to make sure we kind of hit that quality bar and we hit it on time. It's pretty close to being LOD 0, which means that the majority of the main modeling's done. There's still a whole bunch of decal work, the finer details, what we call as POM details, pass needs to be done, and that really kind of helps to elevate the kind of like the close read. I think the distance read and the mid reads are like brilliant, and to be fair, the close read when you get up in personal is looking really, really good. It's just we've still got that kind of like
what are you talking
final
about?
sprinkle of polish to go on.
With the focus on the exterior and pushing that as far as we could in the time we had, the interior...
Okay, sorry, I know I'm interrupting flow here, but I feel like recently CIG have got really hot on lighting, LED lighting, and like how that builds into the atmosphere of a ship. And like the C1 has the Spirit series has really cool lighting. The Fury, the Sulin has some really nice ambient lighting. This also, look at the light bars, guys. I know that might sound silly, but I'm into this. Lighting is a powerful tool.
The interior is not quite as far along. It is more around the grey box stage, but the people
Sorry.
The interior is not quite as far along. It is more around the grey box stage.
Look at this. Grey box stage, okay. This is your window. So actually you drive in and out from sideways, it looks like.
But the people we put on the exterior now will be moving on to the interior.
Normally on a vehicle, as we try to kind of keep the development stages in line throughout the kind of like the life cycle of its development, it means that the interior isn't, it's not at the same level that the exterior is.
We've been focusing on the core traversal areas of the ship.
The majority of the rooms have now been worked up. I think there's maybe 2 or 3 rooms that are still in white box that still need a decent amount of kind of modelling and work doing to them. But the rest of the rooms now are kind of getting to the point where we're pretty close to grey box.
So the bridge, the main corridors, the hab area, the cargo bay.
Sorry, but that animation for that roof was absolutely beautiful. And you see what I mean about the lighting, guys? Come on, details, guys.
Are kind of getting to the point where we're pretty close to grey box.
So the bridge, the main corridors, the hab area, the cargo bay, torpedo rooms, and all the turrets. So these are a bit further along than some of the more secondary rooms like the brig and the medical bay.
When you think of the Polaris, like its key points are the torpedoes. And I think that's been an area that has needed quite a lot of iteration on, and we're not quite there yet. One of the things that we're kind of really trying to make sure feels good from a player's point of view is the kind of like the loading of the torpedoes and seeing them kind of be from in your cargo hold to being in the kind of like loading mechanism.
Oh my word.
And then being
oh my word. Holy, that looks so freaking cool. Look at that torpedo, guys. And he's just going to pop that in. Dude. Okay.
Being ready to fire. So on the kind of like lower deck and front half of the vehicle, we've got these big torpedo loaders, and that's an area.
Okay. What happens if I am really bad at putting the torpedoes in the bay? Do we all go back to the Nurser? Is that what happens? Do we all respawn? Do they blow up? I'm not letting any random. I'm not letting you do it. I'm doing it. I'm coming down from the bridge to be like, whoa, 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 whoa. I'm not letting you set us back 3 hours. Let me load the missiles. And then inevitably I'll blow us all up. Gameplay.
That it's needed quite a lot of iteration to make sure it feels right. And we are still in that process. It's not kind of fully signed off. We're not completely happy with that area, but it certainly kind of makes up the heart of the ship. Otherwise, on the interior, the main upper deck is kind of really starting to come on. The engineering section is another kind of area that I think is really important in our capital ships and kind of getting to a level that we're happy with.
I love that branding.
From the kind of concept to into production, we have opened up the bridge of the ship a little bit. One of the things we wanted to do was when you kind of enter onto the bridge, this should feel kind of like super exciting.
They've done a really good job. Like, I'm just gonna video nerd out a bit here. I love how Ben's talking and it's building up and the music. Notice it, guys. I'm not doing like some kind of project word here, but you just notice these little things. It's very clever how it all comes together. Notice the music building as Ben's building it up, and then they hit you with the beautiful bridge aerial shot.
Kind of concept to into production, we have opened up the bridge of the ship a little bit. One of the things we wanted to do was when you kind of enter onto the bridge, this should feel kind of like super exciting and super rewarding to the player. If they've managed to kind of get one of these ships, we want it to feel like they are kind of really living that kind of military life dream. So sorry, Ben. The angles, like, I'm so happy how this looks, honestly. And I love these light bars have continued here. I don't know if that's that's meant to replicate the hangar, but it's so good. It's so good. Spend a bit of time kind of opening it up, giving some nicer views as you kind of enter onto the bridge itself. What we really wanted to do was kind of make sure that the player views are good, the captain gets a great kind of view out the front, and make sure that navigating around that area, especially as kind of more and more kind of multi-crew gameplay systems come online, we want to make sure that there's enough space on that bridge to have not just the captain and the pilot, but a whole crew there.
Compared to the concept mesh, one not big change, but unresolved area was the hangar opening. It's quite a complex shape to open, so we spent a lot of time working on that, but that's all resolved. And then another thing.
This is what I'm talking about. That hangar is awesome. Oh, it's so cool, man. We're obviously in Pyro right here.
We are looking at in the future is actually doing some more upgunning of the turrets. So it is not just a torpedo boat. It can sort of hold its own against other capital ships with its turrets. You'll see more of that as we get closer to releasing it, which we are aiming for at IAE this year.
No, John. You're not aiming. You said, and we quote, it is releasing, regardless of its state. You said it. John, we all saw it. I'm joshing. If it gets delayed like a month, or 2 months, or a patch, honestly, this is looking amazing. The concept, the outside of it looks good. The inside is coming together really nicely. I don't care how long it takes. I shouldn't say that because people are going to yell at me for telling Star Citizen take as long as it wants, but proof is in the work, guys. It looks amazing. I don't care what you say. I don't want it rushed. I want it perfect. And so far, it's looking pretty darn perfect.
So, what did we learn this week? Well, we learned that the Drake...
What did we learn this week? And there's like freaking...
Ironclad is the next cargo ship from Drake designed to fill that gap between the Caterpillar and the larger Hull series offerings. That working on it helps to flesh out resources needed to bring the long-awaited Kraken to life in the future. And that the Polaris is coming along pretty nicely, even if it's not Drake, which we didn't learn was the best because we all already knew that in our hearts.
But Disco says KDOT is the best.
And with that, this very long 17-episode season of Inside Star Citizen comes to a close. We said we'd go straight through until Alpha 323 was out, and we did that, and then some more.
Yeah,
it's time for our team to take a breather,
amazing.
catch up on some admin work, and begin working on the next great season of ISC that'll start up again on June 20th. So for Inside Star Citizen,
Jared, we're gonna miss you, bro.
I'm Jared Huckabee. Thanks for taking the time to let us share the process of game development with you each week, and we'll see you when we get back.
Music for this game is absolutely top tier. I have to say, this episode was so good. I know I paused a lot, but there was so much content in it, and I props to the video team because they've been delivering the episodes, apart from one or two, at 5 o'clock on the dot UK time. And they've always been really good. There's not been an episode where I've gone, man, this is rushed, or they didn't even need to bother making this episode. I feel like the interviews were really interesting. There was a lot of value in watching them, like as a content creator, but also as like someone who just plays the freaking game. It's like they did an awesome job, and I hope they bring more. Obviously, we're going to see more of cargo and the instance hangers and things like that in the future. Pyro coming out later this year. I don't know how it's going to work with like Squadron. Like, they're going to start showing more of that in this thing as we come to the end of the year, where we're inevitably going to hear more about that as soon as it's feature complete. But yeah, you want my opinion on the Ironclad? I am immediately purchasing that ship, and it hurts so much I don't know when it's going to come out. That's all I'll say. Like, just a rough time. Just like a year. Give me a year. Is that too much to ask? Like, I feel like we've got so good at, filling up spaces for ships in Star Citizen, right? The ships are coming up. Like, doing doing Invictus this year made me realize how much has come out just in the year and a half that I've been covering the game. And like ships are coming out back to back. Backlog is getting cleared. New ships are coming out, obviously, but I feel like that plan, as loose as, like, obviously the further you go, the looser it has to be. But I mean, I think they could give us a year. They probably know a year, but they're probably not allowed to. It's probably not a good idea to say it. I'm just, I'm everyone who's been here from the minute dot, which to be fair I was, but I just took a hiatus and come back. I just think no one wants a year, but I need it. Yeah. Anyway, fantastic episode, man. Let me know in the comment section whether or not what you thought of it, if you're going to buy it, if you're going to hope your org buys it. I think it's the perfect org ship. It really is. Does everything. You could put ships in it and go and do bounties. Oh, man. Got the Nurser for respawn. How many Furies can you fit in an Ironclad? 50. I don't know. I'll see you next time.